questions for the lads? Please go ahead.
I personally haven't heard it. I obviously saw the article last week. Hopefully it's not going to be an issue that continues. How do you stop it? I don't know. People sitting next to each other, you know.
So it's really sort of policing by the supporters.
Yeah, I think so, because it's not in our game to do that, and we don't need it.
I think we should keep the values in sport very strong, but again, not make an issue of it in the middle and just focus on the guy in the middle. I think we should focus more on the game and not so much if he commits errors or not, because he's a human being and he can. And again, interpretation in the ruck today, as you all know, and the scrummaging that we were talking about, it's very complex. So again, we all want consistency. All of us want good refereeing. We want a good game of rugby. So I think we should have to take a little bit more of drama towards that.
But hopefully it won't get to that. I'd like to think it wouldn't get to that. But yeah, maybe that's an area that maybe they need to look at in terms of the question. But to be honest, as I said, I haven't experienced any of that.
But also,
I must say, then when Richie McCaw got sent off in Auckland at Eden Park, the poor referee that day came under a bit of attack.
And maybe it's a little bit utopical, but it's important in the stance if you're a rugby guy or even beside somebody that is abusing the referee, and you're there with your children or something. It won't be bad to say to the guy, calm down, sit down. You know, that helps a lot. And it doesn't come from us. It comes from people inside of rugby, or maybe it's a guy from rugby that got lost and just calm him down. And I think that's better than putting a sanction to. You won't stop that.
That's on the table to be investigated. We haven't made a call on that yet. We're comparing some of the protocols in other sports, and we'll make a call on that probably in the next few months. But no decision is being taken. We just want to visit. We certainly don't want to apply anything that's over draconian or doesn't take into consideration the normal way that the modern player may use his phones. But there is to a certain extent we have to ensure that we're not taking risks in the gambling area. So it's a balance of that, and we'll try and get that right when we make that call.
I think to grow the game, we need to take it to other parts of the world that are not traditional rugby areas, and I think that's to grow the game in terms of participants is really important. I think there's over 100,000 participants in the US now, but also it's important to grow revenue. It's all very well having aspirations, but you also need revenue. So, you know, in terms of a country like ours on the edge of the world, we've got to look at other ways to generate revenue income. Totally. As I said down there, my great rugby memories of World Cups are when the minnows, or not the minnows, the Tier 2 nations have taken out the bigger teams, just like France did in the quarterfinal, and but I think it's important. I think and that Tongan game at Eden Park, I thought was phenomenal. Yeah.
But we need to have too some big teams going to America. But we need to have some big players from America. We need to have in America they got the potential to have 2 or 3 guys, John Alomo was at the time when all these players who made the rugby world known, and they need to have maybe 2 or 3 guys who can really create emulation behind them. And so we need, I think, the people who are in America in teams for young players, they need to really focus, on who could be the next heroes for America in the future.
But I actually think that the America's game was more about the All Blacks brand and really growing rugby in America, to be fair. And I think, like Sean said, it's very good for ING to make a commercial statement, and I think it's a very clever idea to market the ways and values towards a sponsorship. But if you ask me about the roots and about how to make a better American team to compete in the World Cup, that's not the way, for sure. That's not the way.
What is the
I don't know. It's to America to know. We've been working the last 7 years to just find a way to just compete in a rugby championship, and we have grassroots rugby. Then we have a championship that is a local championship. Then we're going for a rugby franchise in 2016. So you need to. It's not about if we brought the All Blacks playing in Buenos Aires. We had played and Sean was there, and you can reach some depth. But if you don't have the whole pathway towards rugby world, you would never have a competitive team in the World Rugby World Cup. It's not magic.
Global calendar, what's the answer? Good question. It is, as Augustine said below, it's a hot topic at the moment. I think we're engaging regularly now with at council level, at rugby committee level, discussions as well with the LNR and PRL as well. So I don't think there's an easy answer to it when you've got two hemispheres with different needs and different wants and established structures as well. But I think at the end of the day, we have to put the players first. And I think certainly the IRB, our regions, our unions, everyone appreciates that we've got to find a way to make sure that we protect the players and that they can stay in the game as long as they can and earn a living in the game and that their needs and wants are listened to as well. So there'll be some ongoing work over the next 6 months. We had a meeting with the Tier 1 CEOs last week and it was all agreed that we need to move forward now. What's in place will be in place till Rugby World Cup 2019. So any new major changes would come in post the Rugby World Cup in 2019. So it's an ongoing piece of work, really, is all I could say. Well, I think during the medical conference, we had an expert group meet on Friday, actually, we call it the Game Load Expert Group. So we brought together some experts from around the world to look at that issue. And IRPA, the International Rugby Players Association, are involved in that. And again, I think, we place player welfare very high on our agenda. We've implemented a lot of new education resources, working with IRPA, our concussion protocols as well. So I think we see it as a priority, and I think it's a matter as well that for our unions and the professional clubs to manage the players effectively and listen to the players in terms of their needs and wants. But it's an ongoing piece of work for everybody, really, to make sure that we all put player welfare at the forefront of everything we do.